Kia ora from beautiful Aotearoa, that is to say hello from beautiful New Zealand. I'm Career Break Guy, taking a break in my corporate life tonight to look at Wilderfeast. Before I get too far into it, I just want to very quickly say, earlier this week I thought, hey, this is an interesting looking game. I thought, let's take a look at the solo. I'll make a video on the weekend. Lo and behold, on Friday, someone actually put out a podcast and video. So I just want to shout out to the Solo Roleplayers podcast on Spotify or SOS Cade on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description to their video. It's a really great solo look at this game. They beat me to it. Full credit to them. I'm looking forward to listening to more of their shows. Good on you, PJ. Okay, so look, Wilderfeast, what is this? This is a game that I have heard of a number of months ago. I thought, I was looking for a Monster Hunter game because I love Monster Hunter. I saw this. It also had delicious and dungeon elements, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But the idea that a notable part of the game was about making a meal, and also you fought with kitchen utensils, giant kitchen utensils. And instead of just being people, you were people who were mutated in a way. At the time, I thought, actually, you know what? This isn't what I'm looking for. I circled back later, though. I looked at it again. I sat down, had a proper read, and I take it back. I should have been paying more attention. The mechanics look great. They have an element similar to The Legend of the Five Rings, which is a game I love, but don't get enough chance to play. Have loved the setting for decades now. But the idea is that you have your skills, or your 4 attributes, and the action that you take, you describe how you do it, and depending on how you describe it, you then pick which attribute you're using to roll. So 2 people could attack you with a sword, or in this case, a giant meat cleaver, but one person might do it just an all-out, throwing their body weight behind it, hefting this thing over their head, trying to smash you. They would roll 1 stat, whereas another person who's just trying to use the momentum of the blade to carefully slice away at something would use a different stat, and I love that mechanic. So anyway, here we are, Wilderfeast. This is available on DriveThruRPG. What I'm using here is the Alchemy Quick Start. The Quick Start is free on DriveThruRPG and on Alchemy. This way I've got the some of the stats and character creation. So what I thought I'd do, make a character and then see if I can just run an impromptu one quick hunt. I've had to read through the rules. I'm not super familiar, so we're going to learn together. But yeah, let's get started. What I've done is I have started by just making a character. Well, I just gave them a name, so not making a character. And if I remember how this works here we go. So I just called them Whelp. That's one of the names that's suggested in the book. By the way, as you can tell from the screen here, the art in the book is just incredible. I've got the PDF, but honestly, this is one of the ones where I think I'm going to look out for a hard copy. Hopefully my local game store will get it in, but otherwise I might just need to order it, because it's just beautiful. Okay, anyway, Whelp. I gave him a name. So first thing you do is, you select your pronouns. I'm just going to, they, them. You get to pick the tool that you use. So you got giant mitts. You've got, I'm sorry, let me just change that thing. Giant pan. Spit. Torch for cooking, but also, it's just a flamethrower. How fun is that? Some twine. You can make a custom one, or the one that I think I'll just use for this. Normally I like to roll a random character, but I think I'll just pick a bunch of stuff for this one. Is a cleaver, giant cleaver. I play longsword in Monster Hunter a lot of the time, so this vibes with me. So what happens is, when you pick your tool, in this case the cleaver, you get a technique called, well, depending on what one tool you're using, this guy's got a clean cut. And you start with either 3 mighty and 2 precise, or 3 precise and 2 mighty and then 1 in your other stats. So if we go over to our stats, we've got mighty, precise, swift, and tricky. So as I said, you can choose to do things and just barge on through. You might use might. Precise, you're aiming for a particular spot. You might want to catch them off guard, or you might want to feint. Not feint as in like, oh, but feint as in, well, trick them. And so however you describe it is how you, or what you get to roll. So I like precise then mighty. I'm not really just an argy-bargy kind of character. He is more thoughtful in his actions, but still does have that strength. So let's see. You know what? There's a whole big list of different descriptions, and what you do is you can get a random thing. So he is spontaneous, but then what I also like is that they get you to roll a stat or choose a stat, which is something that you're not. So when you're role playing, you know, okay, well, look, I want to do things just off the cuff, but I'm not curious. So he rushes off just to do things, but he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's spontaneous. He does things, but he doesn't really bother to look into why something is happening. He just makes snap decisions, and I think that's going to work out really well with trying to run just a random one shot, because he's just going to bowl out and do something for some reason. Specialty. This is you are what you eat in this game, and I did have a look at some of these earlier because when you pick a specialty, you also get some traits, and those traits will allow you to use different dice pool, but also give you various bonuses. And so one that I looked at was the Butcher. And now the Butcher, it's they say the Butcher line have metal or mineral growths, and commonly scavengers or detrivores. Strong stomachs adapted to digesting food in various stages of decay. So from here, you know, you get to choose which of your specialties you want. I was actually just going to take natural armor on this one, because if I find where these things are, natural armor will allow him natural armor. He takes half damage when he takes a mighty strike or shot. And for a one-shot character, well, I mean a solo character, you know, you do want to get a bit of survivability in there. You also get to pick just one other trait from anything. I didn't think too far ahead on this one. I probably should have, but let's just have a look. Oh, there you go. There's one called Charge. And that looks good. Charge. So it means that I can use one of my action, we'll get to actions in combat, to move 3 spaces closer to a opponent and then deal some damage. So now I've got 4 traits. Everyone has grit, which allows you to increase your level of success depending on how many successes you roll, and we'll get to how successes are rolled. Insight, you can use one of your successes to get more information, or ideally, you know, provide some information that your the GM will allow to happen in this, or I believe they're called guides in this game instead of GMs. Then he's also got natural armor and charge. Right, so back here, you also get a monstrous acquaintance. This is some kind of creature which you've made friends with. I'm going to say that he is friends with Shadowtooth, a crown wolf. Can we get the picture? No, okay, mustn't need the full thing. A crown wolf. Edit. Oh yeah. Who fed the bone? Who fed the bones from leftover butchering of livestock. So I think that Whelp is kind of a bit of a loner. He's got this wolf that he's worked with or hangs out with before. So they're a bit of a duo of sorts. Still quite independent though. He lives a bit out of town, not quite part of this local community. Now, the way that they describe the background, it's in various meals. So let's see, his upbringing, the meal of fried scallion noodles best describes it. He's tossed with sausages. That's not how you describe him, that's how you describe the meal. So on the days you're hunting and meat for your family, your siblings always fought over the best bites, and it increases his shot skill. That's actually not really useful for a person who's going to go in with a giant knife, so I think maybe if I have a quick look, see if I can find one. Got the rulebook here. Let's say he is... Oh, to see the one land. Is that one? To see... No? That's initiation. I'm on the wrong one. Upbringing. Let's say he's got... Oh, Thin Gruel. There you go. So he ladled from station town soup kitchens. This is his upbringing. That's the meal that he remembers. Orphans congregated around the station to beg, and scuffles broke out as soon as adults turned their backs. So he was an orphan. This makes sense. And then he was fighting for food. Eventually got out, encountered Shadowtooth, started eating for his keep and hunting. In this, there's a harmony with the animals, but then also progress is trying to get in their way, and there's also some of them have a frenzy virus, which means they kind of throw themselves out of the natural cycle of nature. So these people go out and hunt them, to restore a balance. We're not just like monster hunters, we just want a new set of clothes. Nothing wrong with that, though. Everyone loves a good fashion hunter. Right, so initiation. There is one, let's see, to see the one land. So, long to see more than just your tiny home, you made your body into one better suited to traversing the wild. So, yep, he wanted to get out of that life that he had in the orphanage. So he struck out, and then has an ambition. Let's say he... we're gonna give him another fighting one because I just saw one that looks really good. A giant's heart. Blood and raw. So let them watch their kind be eaten. He's a bit of a scrapper. He went out to make a name for himself. Connection. This is how you would deal with the other people in your pack, the other players. It's a solo. I'm going to skip that one at this time. Then you can also just talk about some of the foods that they like to eat. And quick description is he looks like that. Blue, it's got the slight scales, giant sword. Is that convenient for this? Absolutely, but also, you know what, I am fine with that. Let me just skip forward. I've got the book open in another tab, so I'm just skipping forward a little bit. So then for stats, we've got those stats, which we talked about before. Through this is where we get our skill, so 1 strike, 1 traversal, 2 strike, so let's just put those in. 2 strike and 1 traversal. And then he's got his techniques. So 1 is clean cut, because he's got the giant sword. He spends 4 actions and he can make a strike. And if he succeeds, he deals the success dice times 2 damage to a part. This game has part breaking. It's something I've been looking for a long time. I'm really happy about that. And he gets one other technique. Let's find one that he actually can use. Oh, here you go, solid footing. So at the end of his turn, he gains advantage on his next test. If he moves before making a test, he loses advantage. It can be used while using a cleaver. So he's developed himself as a bit of a scrapper. Going to save that. That's our whelp. As you can see, there's random table. This book actually has random tables. As much as I hit the random button, it's like roll 1d20. So it does take that long to create a character. What are we, about 10 minutes if we exclude my ramble at the beginning? So now let's talk about just doing an adventure. It's kind of broken up into, I believe, 4 phases. First one is just like a free session type thing. Then you go into tracking the monster, then actually hunting the monster, having the fight, and then a feast at the end. So I'm just going to kick off and see what happens. So as we've discussed, so Whelp, bit of a loner, lives outside of town, but he does keep in contact with the town. Doesn't feel part of it, but at the same time, he does care for it and the people inside, who are predominantly just normal people, not hunters such as himself. In fact, there's no other hunters in this town. He's as close as this town gets. It's usually pretty quiet. There is some bigger creatures wandering around. Obviously, there is his friend Shadowtooth, the Crown Wolf, known because one of his canines has actually been broken. So he's got one proper canine and then one which is damaged, and it works with working with Whelp, giving him some food to help him survive a bit longer. Good sort. Anyway, so there are some creatures around, but generally it's not a problem. I think more recently, though, something has happened. There's been, perhaps it's livestock or people have been threatened, but they don't entirely know what it is. And then waking up one day, the skies are blue, and Whelp has just woken up and thought, you know what? These people need my help. These people don't really have the ability to deal with this problem on their own, but I do. And so, you know what? I will do that for them. I will help track down this creature and, drive it away, or at least take care of it in some way. And so he just packs up his cleaver, packs a couple of little snacks into his bag, and he heads down to the last place it was seen. There was a wagon that was being brought across, and the people heard the cry, and they'd heard rumors that something was in. People aren't entirely sure what it is yet. So when they heard this creature coming, they thought, you know what, better safe than sorry, and they took off. They left the wagon, ran as fast as they could away from the scene, and eventually when they returned, the wagon was destroyed. Just bits torn off it. Whatever the creature was must have seen it and just flown into a rage of sorts. So it's lucky that the people weren't there. Anyway, he heads down to that spot and he looks around, and he has found some tracks. And so these tracks, it's only been a day or so, and so he's going to start following these tracks. And in this game, you can see that there's new tracks and there's old tracks. You have a large map, and new tracks are 1 space away, and old tracks are 2 spaces away. So now we're in the tracking the monster phase. There's a couple of things you can do. One, you can actually just sit and you can start gathering various ingredients. You can just look around and be like, ooh, mushrooms and herbs, and you can grab some of those because later on there's a feast. And the whole, the idea of this game is that you sit around and you will, with the rest of your pack, you'll cook a meal, you'll share the good times. But Whelp doesn't have a pack at this moment, so he's not going to sit around and pick meals. He's spontaneous. He's decided, you know what, I'm going to deal with this creature, not even thinking that, oh, you know what, there's some great berries and whatnot around here that I could grab for later. No, he's just going to follow these tracks. And I think that what he's going to do is he's going to follow these tracks. The stat he's going to use is he's going to roll Mighty, because what you're supposed to do, is describe the way you're going to act, and then the guide will tell you which stat to use. So what Whelp is doing is he's seen these tracks, and he is just going to break off on a run. It's not swift, like he's not trying to chase this creature down. He just knows that if he sets a pace, like just clears his mind, gets the body going, and he just keeps following these tracks, eventually, if he follows these tracks long enough, he will get to this creature. So he is just going in autopilot, full endurance mode, like long distance running perhaps. So he's going to use his Mighty to follow these tracks. So what we do is we roll a Mighty, and for each, well, now we're at the dice rolling part. For each number that you have here, 2, 3, 1, 1, you roll a d6. So you'd roll 2 for Mighty, 3 precise, 1 for Swift or Tricky. You also get to choose the success dice that you use. Now, because wilders, are part human, part monster because of what they've been eating, you can either choose to, focus, think about it a bit more, use your human instinct, and you'll roll a d8 as your success dice. So the dice that says the degree of success. Or you can go wild. You can use one of your traits, and you describe why you're using that trait. I don't even know where his trait's gone. Yep, there you go. One of his traits, like he's got charge. So how he's using his charge just given to his animal aspects. And so then instead of using a D8, you use a D20, but you take away one of your D6. So you're more likely to succeed if you're acting like a human, but the level of success you can get if you just give in to your animal instincts is much higher. But what he's going to do, he's going to go, using Mighty, he's going to not go crazy on this. He's just going to use his more human side, thinking about it, being a bit more rational, even though he's spontaneous. So I'm going to roll 2d6, and then I've got traversal of 1, and that means that I can adjust this dice by 1 once I roll it, and a d8. So success is a 5 or a 6, which he has none. 2 failures. However, I did say that he has 1 in traversal, so you can actually increase this by 1. Don't click there. So showing that again, he's got stats. Rolling 2d6, traversal for movement 1, so I'm allowed to change the value on one of my dice by 1, which means I can change one of these 4s to a 5 and get 1 success. Now, did I really roll a 1 on the Mighty dice? That's a shame. Okay, so what happens is, yes, he got 1 success, he did succeed, except the degree of success was really low. He's done it, but he's done it with a complication at this level. So I think he's setting off down the tracks. He's following this creature, but something has happened. I think what it is he's going to have an encounter. If I just flick back through this book to find the encounters, I didn't even think I'd get one, so I didn't bookmark this page, but here we go. Never know what's going to happen in a game. So let's see, the trail. Region signs, traveling rounds, supplies. Right, travel, so... Oh wait, sorry. With this, for traveling across zones, you have a rating for the zone, like the distance traveled. I'm going to say this is 5 distance units. And then you times that by however many wilders you have. I've only got 1, so that 5. And then over, say, 4 rolls, you need to try and get 5 successes. So far he's got 1. I think at that point then that he is going to change tack. Because he's been doing this, he's just got his head down, he's running, he's in his zone. And he's realized that actually he's a bit too much in the zone. He needs to pay more attention. He needs to be watching where he's going. So I think what he's going to do, he's going to be more precise when in following this now. So I'm going to roll precise. I'm going to give him that D8 again. Give it a roll. Looking for 5s or 6s. Oh my gosh, okay. Does that actually roll anything other than a 1? Okay, it does. Okay, so he's got no successes on his second roll. Trying to be more precise. I guess he's overthinking it, and it's causing a bit of distress. So we've had 2 sets of rolls now, with no such luck. He is going to go back to, he's going to go back to Mighty. We've come further into the track, and now he's actually, we're coming up to more of a jungly area. He has made some minor progress. And so now he's just going to, be tearing through, getting his cleaver, in fact, just cutting through the scrub, trying to get to where he needs to go. So do that. I'm going to roll a d8 afterwards. No, we'll do it now. Once again, we can increase that by 1. That goes to 2. Wait, no, there you go, critical success. Oh, so I was missing that. So he actually had 6 standard successes, 7 standard successes, and 8, which is a critical success on his 1d8. I don't know what this other mighty one. Anyway, as it turns out, as I said, this is probably easier if you had dice that you're looking at. The joy of using a VTT. And I've also noticed that I'm using a lot of alchemy despite the fact that I actually prefer Foundry. No offense to alchemy, I just think that Foundry's a little further along in the process. This is just nice because I can say, roll a d6. Turns out I can't necessarily read them though. So the point is, he is back on track. Gosh, he has been following these tracks. First of all, he was in his head about it, and also he was just like in the zone, running through. Then he picked up his pace, got a little bit off track, but then that kind of stirred a bit of emotion in him. Had to let go completely into animal side. I'm just going to take all 3 of the sets of dice rolls. And so he just was like, no, you know what? I know what I'm doing. Went back through, just started carving the path. And because he's got enough successes, I needed 5 and he's got 6, 7, 15. I can do math. 15 successes, that's more than enough for him to now stumble onto this creature. He's followed the tracks from the destruction of the wagon, so he's feeling very confident that this is the creature. And in fact, looking at the creature now, he can see the feet do match the tracks. They're quite bird-like, and what he sees in front of him in a clearing, feeding on some, what does it eat again? I love this. All the animals, all the monsters have these big descriptions. So this thing is, eating a pin snake, some kind of snake creature, is a kakwari. Think like a secretary bird, but larger. If you know the secretary bird, or I guess maybe a cassowary, emu, ostrich, but more ornery. So he sees us in the clearing, and it hasn't seen him yet. Now, being the spontaneous kind of impetuous, if you will, wilder that he is, he could take a moment to assess the situation, but honestly, he is just going to barrel straight in on it and go straight into the hunt, the combat side of this. So what happens is, it's not a normal battle map. The battle map in this game has zones. Let's get a token for this guy. Now this represents more or less how far away you are from the creature. And it's not a static thing. It's not that the creature's standing there, you're standing a step away, a few steps away, a bit further back behind a rock or a tree. This represents that the creature is advancing and retreating, but you are advancing and retreating with it, maybe circling around it. So this is actually a really dynamic thing that you can describe, but just for the purpose of how far away you are to hit it. That's what we have here. So I'm going to give him a token as well, and I'm just going to say that he started off 3 zones away. So he's not right up in its face. He's come to the edge of this clearing after hacking through some brush. This creature was just fighting with a pin snake, finishing off, which is why in that scuffle it didn't hear him approaching. Also, he very fortunately has come in downwind of it, upwind, where the wind is blowing from it to him rather than the other direction, so it hasn't caught his scent either. He's a little bit further back. He could, again, try and sneak up a little more, but he's not. He's just going to go for it. So in this game, combat is, unless they've been ambushed or surprised, the Wilders tend to go first in combat. You get 3 actions each turn, except in the very first round of combat, in which case you get an extra action, so 4 actions. Normally, if you have more than one Wilder, so multiple players, one Wilder would take a turn, then the creature would have an action, then the next Wilder, then the creature, so on and so forth. But when the creature that you're hunting is taking its turn, it normally only gets to do 1 action, except for once in that round when it's allowed to do a full 3. So let's say we had, 3 players. The first one goes, has their 3 rounds, creature does 1. Second Wilder has their 3 turns. That might be when the guide says, you know what, the creature is taking its full turn now, so it'll take 3 turns, 3 actions, and then it goes to the final Wilder, and the creature would get one more action. But there's only 1, so we're just going to be alternating. And can I view him? Yes. So he's 3 steps away. An action is to move 1 zone closer, but he is 3 zones, so there would be 3 actions just to get there, which is a bit awkward. However, I, quite fortunately, saw this coming, which is why I gave him the trait of charge. So for the first of his 4 actions, he is going to charge. He moves within 3 strides, or from within 3 strides to 0 strides, and deals 1 damage to both him and the creature, equal to the number of strides I move. And that comes off his stamina. Can I show his stamina play? Yeah, so you get 20 stamina. And then his sword has 20 health as well. So he's going to run. This creature is trying to deal with the pin snake. Can I move this actually? Yeah. Maybe there so you can see it on the camera. This creature is dealing with the pin snake, and he just breaks cover from the tree line, and he's just running straight in, the cleaver over his shoulder. And this time he's just kind of gets his shoulder down. The creature turns and he just piles into it, just rams it with his shoulder, trying to knock it off balance a bit. So both he and the Kakwari are going to take a bit of stamina damage. Okay, so I didn't actually put the stamina on this creature. Wants the stamina. I think we're, 30, there we go. I didn't save that, did I? Should probably save it. Edit. See, and this is how you can tell that I'm doing this live. Also, I'm just going to take off 5. Because I'm a solo player, just want to see how it works. That podcast that I mentioned earlier, the Solo Roleplayers podcast, he's got this all sorted out. It's very smooth, it's very slick. Great to hear. Right, so this creature is going to lose 3 stamina. But at the same time, poor Whelp is also going to lose 3 stamina. And as he and this Kakwari just collide, it's much bigger than he is, so it kind of stumbles. It was trying to deal with the snake. It had turned around to see him, but not enough time to get out of the way. Takes a couple of steps back. He kind of bounces off, lands back on his feet, and he is going to do a upswing with his cleaver now. And what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and break a bit off this creature, this Kakwari, because I love the idea of breaking parts. So he's going to strike up, and he's going to strike at the yeah, it makes sense that he's going to strike up at the creature's wings. Oh, maybe the tail when he barged it. Okay, so he's going to strike at the wings with a precision shot. Play. Again, if you had just bits of paper in front of you, this would be a lot easier. That's where we're at. Stats. So his technique that he's going to use, can't use clean cut because that needs all 4. So he's going to mechanics. Actions, nope. This is just a standard strike. He's trying to be precise about it, so I'm going to roll 3 dice. And I can adjust it by 2. Actually, you know what? Let's change that. He is giving into his animal... oh, no, this is a precise strike. I was about to say he gives into his animal thing so we can see how that works. But with a precise strike, I think it makes more sense that he is still in control of what he's doing. And I have managed to put away the sheet that has all the nice cheat sheet of what he can do. Alright, precise strike. So these cost different amounts of actions. A precise strike is 2 actions, but it can do part damage. So he's striking up at the wing. So there's that. You know what, let's maybe not add that at the moment and see what happens. Going for precise. Strike, so he's got strike 2, so he can change a dice, or up to 2 dice by 2 in total. So I can change that 4 to a 5, or I could change a 3 to a 5 to get a success. I couldn't change it, no, I couldn't change that to a 6 and make it better than a 5, or I couldn't change that to a 5 and then get the next one to a 5. So 1 success, that's all he needs though. So he hits it, and then 4, the partial success. I guess that's what was happening before. So that just counts as the amount of damage that he did to the part. So that's 3 actions so far, but now I need to very quickly look at the view of the Kakwari. And the mechanics, the wings, no, the tail that he struck at. Loses, how much do we say? It was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But then also the stamina goes down by 4 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. How does that look? View, play. Yeah, so his tail's been hit. The creature's been hit as well. He's used 1 move for his charge, 2 more for his precise strike, and now he's actually going to also, no, using the momentum of that cleaver from when he did the upswing, going to twist his body and lunge forward at the same time to do just a swift strike. Trying to do 1 more hit. This costs 1 action, and it just does damage. But this time, what he's going to do is play. No, he's only got 1 swift. Okay, so he is, yep, he's calculating on this one. Strike 1. So he's only got 1 chance to get a 4 or more because he's got 2 in strike. 5 plus 2. Oh, sorry, 3 plus 2 is 5. So it does hit. It does the action dice amount of damage. So that's another 4 damage in general to our Kakwari. 1 stamina. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's his 4 actions. So, you know, he broke rank from the, or broke cover from the trees, ran in, barged this giant orange and like silver-tailed bird, stumbled back, dropped the snake that it was trying to fight with and was about to devour. As it kind of was half off its footing, he managed to place himself, do a smooth up strike with his great cleaver, which just trimmed the edge of the tail of the Kakwari, and then brought that round, dashed forward a bit further, and slashed in just across its body itself. Okay, not a bad start. Now it's the Kakwari's turn. And they actually have a... As the guide, you can obviously say that it does whatever you'd like it to do, but they do have a behavior here. So it says at the start of the round, if no creatures are exposed to something that can happen if you fail a roll. It finds someone who's not frightened, which is young whelp. You're particularly aggravated by creatures who look like they're challenging you, which is definitely him, so that's his priority. During your turn, check the following. Are you wounded? Not wounded, but definitely losing stamina. Are you low on stamina? No. Are there multiple creatures attacking you? Nope. Instinct is to get your target within one stride, then stamp it into submission. Make a mighty attack with your talons. And any successes put on to threaten. So it's got 3 actions, and it can do 1 mighty and 1 tricky attack, for instance. So yeah, now that it's been slashed, I think its automatic reaction is it just kind of leaps up, and both its claws, its talons, just like strike out towards his face, and it's going to do a mighty strike. Now it has mighty 3 and strike of 1. So let's play as this thing. We'll do our mighty. Now, creatures will always use a d20 for their action dice, because they only ever given to the animal side. They don't have the reasoned thought that other people do. So it's going to roll 3 dice. Oh gosh. Oh. Mighty should have another dice here, so let's just roll it 1 more d6. Because it's got mighty 3, if I'm reading that correctly. Okay, so there you go. When we actually roll it with 3 dice instead of... Oh, wait, no, because... This is why you can tell it's live. I'm figuring this out as we go along. So it's 3 mighty, but when you use your animal instinct, as I mentioned, you drop 1 dice. So it only got to roll 2 dice because it was not thinking about it. And neither of those dice came up with a success that I could increase to an actual success. So, maybe the slice is when it's reared up and kicked out both of its legs at young whelp, it's more of an instinctual thing than actually managing to damage anyone. It's just kicking out, trying to clear some space, not really targeted, and as such he's managed to just dodge out of the way, block some of it with his cleaver, but the creature is just almost out of surprise just kicking out. It does have 1 more action though, so I believe that it could do a tricky thing. So as it lands, as much as it's been caught off guard, and it's just like jumped up, kicked its legs. As it lands, it's kind of comes more to its senses, and so it is going to do a kind of like flings out its wings, makes itself look huge, but also as the wings are coming up, and kind of takes a step back at that. It uses that moment to launch a strike as well. So it's going to do a tricky attack. It's effectively distracted him by a big flurry of wings, and when he thought that was the problem, it came in with this kick. So it's going to roll 1 dice. Oh no, it fails again. So as much as, maybe it was too effective, the wound is slowing it down a bit too much. It's flapped its wings and it's then swung around, but it's just a bit slower than it would be normally because of this gash on its side. And so again, Whooper's managed to get out of the way. His turn. So he's got 3 actions. Because, you know, you normally only get 3 actions, you only get 4 in the first round. He is going to... he's going to attack. But he's going to do a precise attack. But this, you know, the flustering, the kicking of the, I was about to call it cassowary, the kicking of the cakwari, and then all of that, it's unlocked a thing in him where he's going for that strike where he's gonna slash at the talons. Like he's registered there a threat that needs to be dealt with, and he's going to do it, but he's got this kind of almost feral instinct inside of him now. So what he's going to do is he is going to do a precise strike, because he's going for those talons, but he's going to do it, he's going to summon that burst of speed that he's internalized as one of his traits, his charge action. He's going to use that trait. So now he's going to roll a d20 success, and he's just going to roll 1 less dice. Hopefully this is going to actually make it work, where he rolls 2 dice, and we'll just look for what that d20 says. I mean, that's rolling 4 dice, that's not quite what I thought. But even if we take off 2 of them, we'll say a 6 and a 5 is what he rolled. That's still 2 successes with a 16. That's huge. Man, this is one of those moments where you kind of wish that it was a longer fight. So he needs 1 success to actually achieve something, but then he can actually use the second success for another reason. And you can do things like you can activate your grit, so you can increase your action value by 1. You can use insight, so you can be like, oh yes, I noticed that the creature has a bruising on 1 wing. I'm going to start attacking there and try and get an advantage. We already know it has a giant gash on the side. I think that's fine. So he's just going to, with this precision strike, add 1 damage. So he does 17 damage. Welp, you bloomin' legend. I'm going to need to set up the talons as well, aren't I? Mechanics, talons. Oh, we want stamina. We don't want tail. Talons. Oh, well, the talons are completely broken. That's easy. Oh, and also it's run out of hit points. 17. So what happens is now the creature is wounded. Everything it rolls is 1 dice less. So that 16, for instance, would be a 15. But I think for the purpose of this this one shot is we're going to say that that's shot, it hits the talons and it doesn't cut them off. You could say that if you wanted, but the slash hits the foot in such a way that now the bird, or the cakwari, it's off balance. It can't put its foot down without discomfort. And it is going to take this opportunity to flee the scene. There is actually rules for fleeing. I think it's meant to be that your party or your pack has been really badly injured, so you're like, I'm just going to get out of here. But in this case, I'm going to say that the cakwari, it's taken a couple of big shots, including one where now it can't attack properly. It doesn't have that same leap. It knows that it's in a really bad position. So it just kind of like has this massive squawk at him, and then the wings fly up and the tail flies up. It tries to make itself look as big as possible. But then it turns around and it skids and starts taking off as best it can, kind of like half hopping, half loping, running away. Whelp is going to just kind of stand there panting. He's ready for it to come back. And, it's not that he's not just so spontaneous that he's going to chase after it. One of his goals was just to drive it off. He understands intrinsically that this beast now knows that this is not a place where it is the biggest predator. There is something more dangerous, and that is our young whelp. And so the cat quarry is heading away. He knows that it's very unlikely to come back, and he's going to take that as a mission accomplished. You know what? I'm actually happy for that as the one-shot. He'll just walk back to town. I didn't actually roll what his den where he lives is. But, there's that. At this point, if he had killed it, we're kind of out of the game now. If you had killed it with your pack, then you could make a feast. They've got this little thing that you say, after you've put together the feast, you say, "Thank you for this gift, cat quarry. We receive it with love," and then you eat it. Just to show that, no hard feelings now that you're dead. You were doing a thing, we're doing our part. Now that you're dead, all is forgiven. And when you eat the creature after killing it, you can inherit some of its traits. So that cat quarry had... Let's view that. Traits. A swagger, threat, and grit. So maybe when you eat the cat quarry, you start getting slight sheen, and a bit of plumage even that starts to grow. A mutation, which is cosmetic only. But behind that cosmetic, you do pick up the trait of swagger, for instance. And so then later on he'll have the ability where he can spend 2 actions, make a mighty display, and if he succeeds, all creatures of his choice restore stamina. So it's quite cool. So the more you play, the stronger you get. I want to play this with a group. As I say, I think this is going to be easier with dice, where you can actually just sit there and be like, I'm only picking up 2 dice instead of 3 dice now. Instead of I am just not super familiar with alchemy, but that's fine. I do like this little effect though of having the campfire. That's just me. What I think of Wilderfeast, hopefully you can see the potential of it. This is... I got distracted by used giant cooking utensils. The delicious in dungeon, I loved the anime, but then the idea of making a meal out of a beast and being mutated by it, I wasn't 100% behind. But I love the idea that you describe what you're doing and then that will inform what you're rolling rather than, some of the other more common games where you say, I am going to stab with my sword. Sword is a strength weapon, you always roll strength. Even if you say, haha, I carefully aim for his heart, or I chop off a leg, or I parry and then slice, you'll just roll strength. So this has it. I think this is one of the ones where I'm going to take elements of this game, like what you describe as the attribute you roll, and also having part damage on monsters. I think I'm going to take that because I want to work on a Monster Hunter game myself with my mates, which is going to be a mishmash of other games that we enjoy, just those elements. I really like that in this. I'm looking forward to playing more. As I say, go check out, the Solo Roleplayers podcast, SOSKIAD on YouTube. I'll put a link. PJ, you're doing a great job. Looking forward to listening to more of your work. In the meantime, thanks for taking a break with me tonight. Look after yourselves and see you next time.